Good morning, you guys, and happy Saturday. It is Amanda and Barron with Kickin Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio, 104.3 FM and 1220 AM. Our sponsor for this first half is Oddmo's Pizza. I don't know about you guys, but those wings, so I've got their website pulled up, and these wings just look so juicy and so yummy that's what I'm grabbing on my way home today is wings and pizza for my kids. I'll probably do the Bull Rider one with all the meats and all the
and
things.
the great thing about their wings is that they actually got some meat on the wings.
Oh my gosh, yes, they do. They actually won Best Willamette Valley for their wings. They're so
pizza
amazing.
place that wins for wings.
They speak for themselves, I promise you guys. So huge shout out to Oddmo's. Thank you, Mike, for sponsoring our first half.
Well, we have a very special guest for today's show.
Yes.
Many people will know Lyndon from throughout the community. Lyndon Zaitz, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
We're going to get into Lyndon's story here in just a little bit. And really I want to talk your background of what you've done in the community as well. But last week we had a really special guest that came on.
Yes.
Kristalina had gone in for a routine checkup.
Yeah.
And caught her breast cancer early. Mm-hmm. But I connected with her in the community. I said, how do you feel about sharing your story? And it was just, she was so happy to share that story that hopefully it would help somebody else.
Yeah.
What was your big takeaway with her as a guest?
I think that to get those tests done early, there was no signs of anything unusual. Nothing out of the ordinary, and she went in and got tested, and it turned out that she did have something. And I know somebody that's currently going through the same situation as well, and so I think it just speaks volumes that it's okay to not wait until something is wrong.
Right.
And just go get those yearly checkups. Go get the scans done. I mean, it can't hurt anything. And it probably saved her life.
Oh, I'm sure.
Being in a low stage like that, she was able to fight it and get, win the battle, if you will.
Well, if not save her life, at least put her in a better position to go through the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now it's October, so it's breast cancer awareness.
Yeah, breast cancer awareness month.
First Saturday in October,
yeah.
So we're into breast cancer awareness month.
That's awesome. I love that she advocated for herself and did those tests. I know as moms and wives and men as well, but speaking for myself, we can get caught up in just day-to-day life and not go to the hospital and do those routine checkups, or just, if nothing's wrong, then why am I going to go in? But it's important to advocate for yourself and just make sure you're in good health.
And I think that was her big message is, don't be afraid to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yourself. Well, the other thing we've been doing, Lyndon, we've got this wonderful magazine. It's a Time magazine, 100 Disease-Fighting Foods. We went all the way through it, so it took us about 2 years to get through this magazine, so we're going to go back through it one more time.
I love it.
But this one is such a great tip. It's apple cider vinegar.
Oh, yes.
You like this tip.
Yeah, I do.
Well, the magazine says apple cider vinegar reduces blood sugar, and it's a prebiotic, meaning it feeds our good gut bacteria, and it may be an anti-obesity elixir too. One 12-week study found that people who were given apple cider vinegar daily rather than a placebo had less body fat, a lower BMI, and lower triglycerides at the end of the study. I know for a while there, I was given tips. At one point I was doing some bodybuilding, and they said, just take a little shot glass size of apple cider vinegar, and it really makes a difference in your routine.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So apple cider vinegar, there's our tip for today.
Awesome.
And then just an update that happened this last weekend. Yeah, last weekend, Breast Friends did their 5K run.
Okay.
And so I got a chance to visit with them and see them. And Mary Ann's family has always done the run, but this time they did it without her there.
Yeah.
And so the nieces and the aunts, and of course Dan, her husband, were there. And they were all running miles for Mary Ann.
That's cool. I love that. I love that they still showed up to support that group.
Yeah. Well, and Erin, her daughter, is now part of the staff with Breast Friends.
Okay.
And so they had a huge turnout, really good turnout for this 5K run.
Good for them. So. That's awesome.
Well, I'd like to get into what Lyndon's really people, how would they know you in the community? What are some things you've done in the community before we get too deep into your cancer story? Let our listeners know who you are and what you've done in our community.
Thank you. I was publisher of the Kaiser Times for 17 years. I retired in January.
Yeah.
I was involved in the community. I was a Rotarian. I was involved with the Chamber of Commerce. I'm involved with the Kaiser Homegrown Theater. I've appeared on stage at the Shakespeare in the Park, at the Kaiser Rapids Park, with one of the most famous scenes where I peed on a wall.
Oh no!
People seem to enjoy that.
Well, anyone who was there remembers it. Anyone that was there remembered you peed on the wall, I'm sure.
Yes, it was a good time. So I've done Shakespeare in the Park for the theater. I've done productions at the theater itself, which is at the Kaiser Cultural Center.
Yep.
In Kaiser. I've been involved with. I was a founder of Making Kaiser Better Foundation back in the early 2000s. I like to think that you can't get more than 2 people together in Kaiser without them eventually saying, we should have a project.
Kaiser seems to be notorious for that kind of stuff.
So we started this foundation, and the idea was to maybe do a farmer's market, but it all ballooned into River Fair.
Oh, okay.
Which was a one-day family-friendly community event at the Kaiser Rapids Park. It had vendors and had music and acts and food vendors. So it was a very good thing. And we, that foundation, eventually the idea was to raise money for vocational scholarships for kids who didn't want to necessarily go to a 4-year college, but they wanted to do something more with the trades.
Okay.
And that idea came from Amy McLeod, the with Keller Williams.
Okay.
Well,
So-
there's definitely a need for kids who aren't going to want to be academic in college, but still be involved in the trades. And of course, the trades are a very lucrative spot to be.
My son's in lineman school as we speak.
So that's where people would know me from.
Okay.
And your
Awesome.
family's been involved in the news industry for quite some time too. I remember your brother and your whole family kind of put the Kaiser Times together. And remind me, wasn't your brother at some point a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist?
He was a Pulitzer Prize nominated
Nominated him.
investigative reporter for the Oregonian. The Kaiser Times is actually, I like to say, it's the stepson of the weekly newspaper my dad owned in Kaiser.
Okay.
Back in the 60s, the Kaiser News. And he bought that in the early 60s. And it's interesting to go back to the old issues back then, because there wasn't the cry for privacy like there is now. So in some of the things you'd have correspondents reporting on the neighborhoods, and you'd see things in like, John and Mary Smith are going on vacation and they'll be gone from May 9th to October, whatever. They live...
And they would put that in the paper.
Yeah, they put that in the paper and they put the address or the street they lived on.
Oh my! I don't announce when I go on vacation at all. Nobody will know when my home is vacant.
So it's so quaint.
Yeah,
that kind of thing is so quaint. But it's the news that people want.
Yeah, back then it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Now nobody even goes on Facebook and says I'm going on vacation.
Exactly. So we all worked at the Kaiser News when we were kids. We had printing presses, and on print day, we'd all be at the shop, which is where Sherry's is now, or Old Sherry's is now.
That's where the shop was to print the paper.
That's where the shop was. And we would print that, and all Mom and Dad and Les were busy doing that. The rest of us were sleeping on the stacks of newsprint.
That's awesome.
Truly a family business.
Yes. So my dad he's long since retired, but he was, he started his career at the old Oregon Journal up in Portland. He worked at the Capital Journal. He eventually became the bureau chief for United Press International here at the Capitol, and ended his career in sales for Reuters.
Wow.
And Les was an employee of the Oregonian, and he became their chief investigative reporter. He did a gigantic series on the Rushnishis when they took over Antelope. and he did stories on cartels, and he just did a lot of things, and so he's been nominated several times. But he's arguably one of the, well, he is the chief public records and public meetings law experts in the state of Oregon.
Oh, that's cool.
But he has a national reputation. He just closed down the Malheur Enterprise, which was a weekly community paper in Vail, Oregon. And because of his reputation, he was able to garner interns from like USC and North Carolina University just because of his reputation.
That's cool.
Quite a history of newspapers in the family.
To say the least, yeah. That's awesome.
Well, outside of your community involvement and your family's involvement with newspapers, your life took quite a turn just a little over 20 years ago, 2004. And my note says that you were diagnosed with Burkitt Lymphoma. Do you want to kind of elaborate on what exactly that is and how did that affect your system? I believe Burkitt is somebody. That's somebody's name.
Sure. I started having pains in my shoulder, and I would go to the doctor, and I think he prescribed aspirin or something. But it kept going on. And so on the third visit, he finally took a blood draw. And I was at home one day, and my folks were visiting up from Southern Oregon. And literally minutes after they arrived, I got a phone call from the doctor and said, "Get yourself to the hospital."
Oh, wow.
Get yourself to the hospital that quick. So I went, we went down to the hospital, and I checked in, and I was there for 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I was very appreciative of the Kaiser community because there was just a constant delivery of flowers and plants, and some of the nurses said, some of the other patients were saying, "Who's over there? Is that the president?" Because it was just a parade of things, and I was very appreciative and really warmed my heart. But he said, it was diagnosed as Burkitt's lymphoma, which is a very aggressive blood cancer. And I was lucky enough to have a doctor at what was then hematology oncology at the Salem Health facility. And she was challenged because I was also diagnosed with HIV. And so my doctor, Dr. Natasha Tiffany, she was calling colleagues all over the country to figure out what's the best way to do this.
So you got a blood cancer diagnosis,
yes,
and HIV diagnosis at the same time.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So that was quite the challenge.
Well, and I can see why the doctors would be like consulting on how do we take care of this, how do we treat this.
I have nothing but good things to say about the American medical system. All of my doctors, all of my nurses, all of the orderlies, everyone was just great. So I didn't have radiation, but they put me in the hospital for 2 days each month for 8 months for chemo. And I never got sick. I never...
Really?
I never...
Wow.
Never had the reaction that you hear so much about.
When they first put you in for 2 to 3 weeks in the beginning, was that just to get you regulated, or why were you hospitalized for that long?
Yes, just to keep tabs on
monitor
and
okay.
So yeah.
Well, and I think it's good to mention too that we've had some guests here that have had blood cancer, leukemia. Lymphatic cancer is actually a different color. It's a lime green color versus the orange for the shirt ribbon color. But it's your lymphatic system, not specifically the blood, which makes it even harder for them to figure out how to treat it because your lymphatic system is going through your whole body like your blood.
Yeah.
So the treatment for it becomes a lot more challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, the lymphatic system is a very, very delicate system to try to deal with.
Okay.
So I'm sure that played into how they treated you too.
The worst thing during my initial journey was when my doctor said we need to take a bone marrow biopsy. I didn't really understand what that was until I was in the room and they did it. And I think you could have heard my screams all the way to Pendleton.
I've heard they're really terrible.
And so imagine my shock when my Dr. Tiffany says, we need to do another biopsy.
Oh,
A second bone
Second
marrow.
like no.
Well,
So-
and describe for the listeners how do they do a bone marrow biopsy? Because people don't understand why it's so painful.
Well, they have to get into your bone and extract the bone marrow to
to analyze it.
analyze it. And it felt like somebody taking a knitting needle and shoving it into your pelvis. It hurt really
So
bad.
would it compare to an epidural?
That's what I was just wondering, if it would compare to an epidural. He's
Maybe,
like,
I
I'm
don't-
not sure.
I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
That would be a comparison that you don't know.
But if it is, then I feel sorry for all the women who have had an epidural.
Well, thank you for that.
So I had a total of 3 bone marrow biopsies.
Wow.
And I said, please no more. Let's not do this anymore. So that was probably the worst part of my initial journey with that. But it was, by the 9th month, they said, well, you're clear of cancer.
Oh, wow.
That's actually pretty quick, I would think.
Very. Did they give you a stage?
When they diagnosed you, did they tell you that you were stage 2, stage 3?
No. But afterwards, probably after 6 months, my doctor said, we thought you were a goner. I looked so bad.
Really?
Like
They
your
just-
color was gone from your face?
Yeah,
or
I
your
just looked like,
lost so much weight?
yes,
All of the above?
all of the above.
But you felt okay and you didn't get sick.
Didn't get sick, and I worked a lot. I took some time off from work, but then I went back to work. You get tired, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I worked through most all of my cancer journeys.
So were you at the paper at the time of this cancer journey?
I was.
So you still got this paper that has to get put together.
The news has to get out. Dang it!
Still got to go.
Ads need to be sold.
I hear that.
Ads need to be sold, and stories need to be written, and the production needs to be done.
Which was probably kind of a blessing, something to keep you busy and focused and not giving your all to the cancer. I mean, as far as beating down yourself with it,
Exactly. Exactly.
keeping busy and moving forward. And you said multiple cancers. Did I hear
Well,
that correctly?
Yeah, so we're going to get into the second cancer in the second
Okay,
half of the
sorry.
show. But yeah, he is a 2-time cancer survivor.
Okay.
I just want to make sure people understood that this is, I think you said to me one time that like 1 in a million get this particular cancer. It's a
Really?
a very rare cancer.
It's a very rare cancer.
And it wasn't a good outlook initially. I mean, like you said, they thought you were going to be a goner. The complexities of having this cancer and an HIV diagnosis probably made treatment very challenging at the same time.
Yeah.
Was it just the chemotherapy for the treatment? Was that the only thing they did for the treatment?
It was.
How often did you get it?
I was in the hospital for 2 or 3 days each month for 8 months.
Okay. Wow. So you spent a lot of time in the hospital.
I did. Got to know the nurses really well, and positive attitude is everything. I mean,
Yeah.
I kept the nurses and the doctors laughing, and I just, that was just
That was just how you did it.
how you did it.
Yeah.
How I did it. I never had a why me, a poor me kind of a thing. It's like, okay, I'm just put my hands in I'm going to put myself in the doctor's hands, and they're the experts, and they will do what needs to be done.
Did you change anything with like your lifestyle, how you ate, exercise, or anything like that?
You would think, but I didn't.
It's okay. That's okay. Honest answer.
But all of your treatments were right here in Salem.
They were all at Salem Hospital.
And I know that more than once you said that you have great respect for what happens there at Salem Hospital and Salem Oncology and what they do down there at that location.
Yes. They had to put an Omaya port in my head, which they used to take out samples of spinal fluid. And there's also a way for them to bathe the spinal cord with chemo. And
That's interesting that they would go through your head
Yeah.
to get to your spinal cord area.
but it was interesting because they wanted to do that, and so they put it in, and it got infected after a couple of weeks, so they had to go to the other side. But I felt like Frankenstein because they had cut it and then they had to staple it all, and there was a gigantic bandage on my head.
Oh, jeez.
Scaring everybody.
That's crazy. So you said they bathed your spinal cord in chemotherapy?
Yeah.
That's
Is that
from your head.
Is that the best way to deal with the lymphatic system? Is through the spinal column? Or
We'll go with that because
Okay.
I'm not a doctor, but
It's like, I don't know.
I don't know.
once again, you're
Let me look at my textbook and see what it
you're
says.
trusting the doctor. Everyone will be doing their
Yeah.
Google
That's
MD.
just interesting. It seems it all sounds scary. Very scary. If I'm being completely
But I never
honest.
felt fatal. I never felt like maybe I should just give up.
Right.
None of that.
That's awesome.
I didn't have the reaction that you hear so much about from people who get diagnosed with cancer.
And that's probably what kept you going, honestly. That and your job, just continuing to move forward, not letting it take you down, not letting
Just
it
positive
have a negative-
attitude, man.
Yeah.
That's what so much of it came down to in all of my journeys. It's
And we've heard that from more than one guest that's come in, that
Oh yeah.
the positive attitude is just so critical to what you're going through.
I think just a positive attitude in life in general, you got to have just to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
You do.
Totally. Well, that is just unbelievable what you had to go through with the lymphatic cancer. We've got a few more minutes, but we can just kind of start a teaser here for the second half. But so you basically 1 year of and then you're cancer free, and then you start moving on with your life. And I love your mantra. You told me this some time ago, that cancer has no power over me. I think
Amen.
That attitude, by that mantra, that attitude probably played tremendously into how you dealt with what was going to happen with you. And so then you move forward, and you're doing the paper, and you're doing the stuff with the home theater, and then all of a sudden, about 15 years later, was it just a routine checkup?
15 years later. Gosh, by then I would have thought I was totally in the clear. No problem.
my sister and I were going through our cancer journeys at the same time.
Oh, wow.
My sister had breast cancer, probably in the late 1990s, and apparently for her, an errant breast cancer cell went up to her brain. So then she had brain cancer. She had breast cancer of the brain.
In the brain, yeah.
So she
And-
started in the 1990s with breast cancer.
Then she was, and it was almost exactly 5 years after the fact that she was declared clean that she had the diagnosis.
And that was when you were going through your first.
Yeah, so we would compare. We'd call. She was living in Ohio at the time, and we would compare notes on hospital food and doctors and nurses. And
How was your treatment today? Yeah.
yes,
Was that a good thing or a bad thing to go through the journey with her at the same time? Was it helpful, do you think, to have that happening?
well, the cancers were so different that it was nice to have someone to talk to about a journey you were going through.
Somewhat relatable in
Yeah,
some
exactly.
sense. Maybe not same treatments and areas in cancer, but still going through a scary situation together to be able to lean on each other.
But she had a lot of tumors in her brain, and so her doctors were stymied as well as how to deal with this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And they eventually sent her to the Cleveland Clinic, which is one of the top hospitals for cancer treatment. And she underwent the gamma knife procedure.
Okay.
She never got any better. Her husband moved the family to North Carolina, and it was there that she passed away.
What
I'm
year?
really sorry.
What year did she pass away? Sometime back.
2009, 2010.
Okay.
So my folks and my brothers, we all went back to visit her in Ohio. And then I was deep in my journey when they were in North Carolina. The whole family went back there to see her, and I never got to see her before she passed on.
I'm really sorry.
That's hard.
That is.
That's hard.
Okay,
Well, we're going to take a break.
Yeah.
And a big deep breath.
Yeah. Goodness.
And then we come back from the break. We'll fast forward 2019, and Lyndon can tell us about his second
Yes.
journey in
And
cancer.
a huge shout out to Oddmost Pizza. If you guys have not yet tried the Green Monster, oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing. Add chicken and bacon crumbles, and you're welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome. We'll be right